This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, morning guys. So yesterday we seen how to install self-hosted agents and configure it in our release pipeline using agent job and run the Selenium test cases, right? So as I mentioned, you can install the self-hosted agent anywhere else, wherever you want. I mean, you can install in Azure Cloud, or you can install in AWS, or you can install in your own server in your own data center. But the only difference that you see is that if you are using Azure virtual machines, you don't need to have any firewall settings to allow release pipeline to connect to your servers, virtual machines in the Azure cloud. But if you are using your own data center, okay, you need to work with your network team, because your servers are in your data center in your office, and Azure cloud is on the internet, right? So your servers will not be, or your networks, your firewalls will not be accepting each and every request from outside into your data center. That's the reason you need to ask your firewall team or network team to allow these URLs to be able to connect to your server space. Let us say from my server in my data center, I should be able to access dev.azure.com or anything that end with dev.azure.com. Star means anything basically. Okay, it could be test.dev.azure.com, etc. Login.microsoft Online, Management Core. All these things should be accessible from your data center. Okay, wherever your yeah, someone is saying something. Okay. So these URLs should be allowed, and these are the IP addresses that have to be allowed in your data center as well from your servers. Okay, if you are using IPv4 regular IP addresses, these are the IP address that they need to allow. Something, I mean, if it is IPv6, these are the IP address that they need to allow basically. Okay, just need to ensure when you are using self-hosted agents in your own data center servers. Okay, and keep checking these things on the Azure cloud portal basically. The reason these IP addresses may change sometime basically. Okay, as we speak, these are the things that your team need to allow from your data center. Okay, and next thing is that I would like to show continue our discussions on the deployment gates in our release pipeline. So as part, so deployment gates comes before your pre and post deployment approvals and deployment gates in your stages, in different stages in the release pipeline. Okay, so before we go and talk about it, let me start two servers. It takes some time. This is how I'm making cost savings every day basically. Okay, start this one as well. Okay, let me go to DevOps portal, releases, and then edit your release pipeline. Okay, so everywhere you have a pre-deployment conditions and post-deployment conditions, right? As you see, pre-deployment conditions and post-deployment conditions. So far we have used pre-deployment conditions here, that is deployment approvals. Okay, that means after you deploy to QA server, it is successful, and before you deploy or before you promote code from QA to production environment, you want to have someone's approval. That's what you did. Okay, we've been seeing that. Okay, so this is approval, means the someone from your team will manually check some prerequisites if they can promote this code into production, and then if he is happy, he will go and approve the code promotion to production, or he will reject it. Okay, or he will assign it to someone else if he is not clear about what to be checked. That's how it goes. Along with this, you can also set a few other conditions as well in order to get your code into different environments. Okay, both in pre and post basically. You see everywhere pre and post, right? Let's click on pre-deployment conditions. Okay, so this is so we did not enable pre-deployment approvals for QA. We enabled it for what is the production environment. Since you know the approval part, let's look at the gates. So deployment gates are a vital component of your release pipeline. What it is? So it basically evaluates some of the external conditions in order to take a decision whether we should allow the deployment to this to a particular environment or not. So based on based on the success or failure of these gates, your deployment will happen or will not happen basically. Okay, so how you can do, uh, you come to the gates, you call it as a deployment gates. Okay, and you can add a gate basically. Okay, you can go and add let us say query work item. Okay, let me remove this query work items. There are multiple here. You can do a query work items, and you can look at the some alerts in your Azure monitor. Okay, and you can invoke some API to see and get the output and see if that output is expecting what you are looking for. And also there might be some batch job which is in Azure function. You will run that Azure function and get some output, see if that is meeting your criteria or not, and check Azure policy. There will be policies in your infrastructure. Based on the policies as well, you can allow your deployment to happen or not happen. So let's look at this query work items. Okay, you added this one. It is showing red color. That means you have to set the options here. Okay, click this. Okay, so there are multiple things here like yeah, you need to click this query work items. Okay, then it is displaying some names here: query work item display name and query. So what is this query? So the query is of your boards basically. Okay, this is where you create the queries, right? In our first session, initial sessions, we looked at it. Let's go here. So you will have what do you say, you will have your epics, features, product backlog items, tasks as well, and bugs as well. So bugs will be done by your are created by your testers after testing the application. Okay, and I think we last time we created one bug automatically. Okay, okay. You have some bug identified. Okay, it is of some severity etc. Let's not worry about it. We have some bug here, some work item. Let me create a query here. Okay, so that query is work item type equal to bug. Okay, and then let me save this query and give bugs in online evaluation system. You can give any name. Okay, there is nothing, and save it in this folder itself. Okay, and I, as soon as I save it, I saw one result here, right? I'm querying for all the bugs. This is my query. Every day I come and see what bugs are there using this query basically. Okay, now come back here, you select that query. Under, you will get the shared queries. Under that, I think that I did not make it as a shared query. Let me make it shared query basically. Save as this is under my queries. Put it under shared queries. My queries means I only can see the query. Shared query means anyone can see it. Okay, that's the only difference. Okay, and just you already ran this, you got it.
Puna, one question.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, go
So
ahead.
regarding the shared queries, can we restrict
Mm-hmm.
the list of users who can see the queries? Like, Those with only
Yeah,
within our organization or
see,
only within public one?
obviously, other than your organization, no one will be able to see. But if you want to set any, any permissions, actually, you should be able to do it from here. Okay, from restrictions. I mean, this is something we need to see, go and see. It's very difficult to remember. Mm,
Okay,
Sorry, right? So you have the options. Okay, you can see
okay,
somewhere. You can go and browse because it's all about settings, right? As part of your security and privacy settings, basically, you can just go and explore. But other than your organization, the most that people can see is in your organization only. If you want to know, if you want to share it with others, that's where you have this one. You can export it, or you can email. You can do whatever you want. Okay, these are the options for other people.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
so what I'm trying to do here, it is not displaying. Let me refresh it. Let me refresh it actually one more time for your work items. So I'm in online travel, online reservation system, right? Online travel, online reservation system. Why it is not queries, shared query. You can see security. Shared queries. It should be made available here basically in the query, right? Select a saved work item query to execute. Okay. It's not showing me that. Okay. Not sure my this is not rendering sometimes. Okay. Now you see the shared query here, right? Okay. So what is this query is doing? It is retrieving all the bugs and displaying it for me, giving me a report in the share, in workboards, right? Azure boards. So what I'm saying, hey, as part of pre-deployment pre-deployment conditions, evaluate this query. If the bugs are more than zero, upper threshold is zero. Okay, means it shouldn't contain any. The output shouldn't contain any bugs. Basically, if it is more than zero, then do not continue with the deployment. That's what it is saying. Okay, and you can look at the advanced. Okay, lower threshold. I mean, if you want to min and max also, you can put it. That's what I'm saying. For me, bug is a bug. I just want to, uh, don't allow. I just don't want to allow any deployment to my stage, basically. Okay. It is saying delay before evaluation. Hey, how much time you want to wait before you evaluate this gate? When flow workflow will come here? Basically, I would simply say 1 minute. I don't want to wait for a longer time in demo. Okay. So now you are done with the deployment gates. Okay. There should be a save button or not. Okay. Let me save this. Okay. Okay. I just want to check one more time that my changes are here. Yes, I have a gate here. Let me check this. Yeah, I have it here. Now, what happens when we have this continuous deployment trigger, right? So when my build completes, it will trigger this deployment automatically, because continuous deployment is enabled, and it will come and try to validate the deployment condition. If it fails, the deployment will not happen. That's what it going to happen. So what we do, let's go to pipeline. This is the one, right? I mean, we can make, let's run this pipeline. I'm not making any changes. Okay, let's make this because this changes are not my intention. Deployment gates are my intention. Okay. As soon as build completes, it will trigger that CD pipeline, which is your release pipeline, and then it should evaluate the pre-deployment conditions. If there is a bug, deployment should not happen. As simple as that. So done. Let me click on this releases and see if it is triggered or not. Let's wait for this trigger. Okay. Yeah, it started AC release 11 just now. Let's click on this. Now you see, delay before evaluation in progress 1 minute. Gates evaluation will begin in 1 minute, because I given 1 minute delay. Now this is the deployment gate that is going to be evaluated. You can see the processing gates. Before this, what you used to see some server checkbox, etc., where it is going to deploy. Now deployment, pre-deployment gates is getting executed. Let me refresh this. Sometimes, yeah. Okay. Oh, it's already done. You can see this query work items failed at 7:22 a.m. If you click this, so it actually executed your query, what you configured in your deployment gate, and it is showing me failed here. Okay, basically this query, whatever it has done, it is given here basically, but what you see is a failed. Since it is failed, your deployment will not happen to QA environment. And it is see, it is showing me it will reattempt to evaluate this gate in next 14 minutes. That's what it is saying. And this is what you see. This is what you have in your pre-deployment gate. Other conditions basically. So this is how you can control your release pipeline with all these conditions as well. Okay, you will have your approvals who can do some manual way of checking, because those details may not. Let us say I am a project manager, or I am responsible for success of this project, right? The details that I am sharing here may not be looking for may not be in your Azure DevOps portal. Those might be some external condition. Probably I need to take some approval of some other person, or I need to check some other systems, whether I should be deploying this code to QR at a production environment. So that's where your manual approvals are coming. And this is about pre-deployment other conditions. This is all about the availability of data in your system itself, and you are going and making these conditions part of your release pipeline deployment gates. Okay, so in your build pipeline you have the code quality gates, and deployment and release pipeline you have the post deployment, I mean pre and post deployment gates. We call it as a deployment gates. Okay, clear this one?
Yeah, yes, Varun. Yes.
Yes. And see, I'm not waiting for this one. Okay, let's cancel this. Okay. But you see it's not happening, it's clearly stopped here. Okay, now let's go and edit this pipeline again, and whatever you see here in the pre-deployment conditions under gates are the same thing what you see. So these are the things, right? Check Azure compliance. How many options you have? 6 options. Same will be available in your post deployment conditions as well. You click on the gates, you delete it, you have the same thing, because you will apply these things, because uh, as simple as that, right? You applied some query, check query in the pre-deployment, and if you are keeping it here, it is a pre-deployment for you and post-deployment for QA environment. So the same options will be available everywhere. So let us say you can explore other areas as well. Excuse me. Okay, other areas could be, let us say, so I mean this sonar cloud quality get status check will be a good option even for QA environment itself, because sometimes what happens, as I told you, uh, uh, your developers or someone may suppress or they don't use quality gate criteria in your build pipeline. So this is another place where you can have that condition available. That means though the developers or some other project team members are suppressing the code quality gate in build pipeline, you can have that check one more time here. That means you will go and add your, let us say, in QA itself, because this is the first place in our release pipeline, right? First stage in our release pipeline. Simply go ahead under gates, add it, sonar quality status check. uh, just check this, and you can go on the quality gate, basically check quality gate. I think this is in preview stage. Okay, this is in preview stage. Okay, let's see evaluation option. See, this is where you are waiting for 15 minutes. Even for earlier one, you can go and put very less time if you want, 1 minute or 2 minute. Means evaluation between if it is failed, it will reattempt in 15 minutes. If this is 15 minutes, basically if you want to attempt it in 2 minutes, you can make it 2 minutes. That's it. And you have the other conditions what we did not see, basically. Before gates ask for approvals, unsuccessful gates ask for approvals, etc. Okay. I didn't configure approval, that's why it did not ask me anything. Okay, this you can explore it. I mean you just need to go and and I mean add different things. And other one what you have is uh, I'm just flipping here and here, because you will come to know everything is same in terms of the conditions. Okay, as I told you, you can query the Azure monitor alerts as well. So every system will have the monitoring, right? Probably if you are using your own data center, you might be using some network monitoring systems like solar winds, etc. And if it is Azure, you can if you are using virtual Azure monitoring alerts for your infrastructure and applications, you can use Azure Query Monitor, basically. That means if there are any alerts in your Azure monitoring system, you can stop the deployment to any stage, basically wherever you are configuring it. So I have my subscription. This is similar to how you have done, for self-hosted agent. For everything, you need to give permission to your release pipeline. Just give me a second. Okay. Sorry, it is still authorizing. That's why it is loading basically. Authorization means you are allowing your release pipeline to connect to your Azure resources. Okay, and then if you go to advanced, don't filter any alerts. Take everyone, and any alert that is under save 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean severity basically. Okay, uh, any alerts that happen in the last 1 hour will be considered for your quality. I mean deployment gate criteria basically. So you want to consider only fired and resolved. Select both, and then it's Azure monitor alerts, right? Just close this. Let me save this basically. So where do you see Azure monitor alerts? If you go to your server, servers or anything, let's open one of these things. Okay, you can you can see the property settings, right, of your server here. Servers or any service. Okay, you can see alerts here as well. Go, yeah, you can see alerts. Okay, right now I did not enable it. Even if you remember, when I'm creating a machine, I did not enable monitoring because it will cost me basically. Okay, uh, go to insights, sorry, go to alerts. So okay, let me add an alert here. So you can go and add alert. I mean this is Azure cloud administrator activity. These guys will go and add an alert. So I want an alert on this server, and you can add the conditions here basically under conditions. What is, and what condition you want to add a alert. Sorry, let it load. Sorry guys. So okay. So what I would suggest, you can go and explore this. What happens when you create an alert here for your server or for your application, etc.? What happens if there are any alerts that are available that became visible here, will be considered for your what is it, will be considered for your deployment gates criteria basically. So simply it will look for alerts, and then it will fail it actually if there are any alerts, as simple as that. Okay, this is what we are saying. Okay, and similarly you have REST API. If someone wants to evaluate, I mean allow this deployment pipeline to continue based on the output of some API, you can still do that. I mean your developers should be giving this API details. Okay, so what is the connection type? So because to connect to any API you need to have some credentials, right? I don't have any API. Let me see. Azure Resource Manager. So this will be told by your developer because these are RESTful services. So there are some verbs like get, put, post, etc. Your developer should be telling all these things, and how the request data should look like, headers and body, all this stuff. Your developer will be giving all this data. Okay, and what is the URL suffix parameter, etc. and then API response success criteria. So your API might be returning some output, right? That output you will keep it here. Let us say your API is sending some number 20. You are expecting some 20 from the API. If you have to put that 20 here, if the output is matching, then only your gate will be successful. Otherwise, it will be failed. Excuse me. Sorry. So such kind of things you can do it actually. So go and practice all these things. I shown one. You can go and practice other areas so that you will get full grip on this pre and post deployment conditions, which you call it as a deployment gates. Okay, clear? uh, is that clear? I'm not sure if you are listening to me or not, Kiran and so.
Yes, Guru.
Okay, so so far I want to go get into the next concept in your
Shall we run
uh,
this?
yes, yes, you just need to go and you know explore the other options. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, I shown one, right? You go and explore the other thing because it's a self-explanatory. We cannot do each and every option because it goes for years then if I have to do. Say for each category, that's how we do, right? For each category, I will show you one, you explore the other space. You ask me if you have any doubts, if you are stuck anywhere else space.
Yeah.
Okay. But the concept is here that deployment gates, how we can control the deployments to various staging or environments that are in your release pipeline. So you can control your release pipeline using approvals and as well as deployment gates. Okay, it is not a simple pipeline where you trigger the deployment, it will go and deploy to all the environments. So you are evaluating based on the deployment gates and approvals. That's what you need to know. How someone asks you how you control the release pipeline uh, of your project. So that's where you need to talk about all these things. You can mention pre-deployment condition, post-deployment condition for each and every stage, and then you can also mention the approvals part here. Okay. Okay. So moving on to the next concept in our pipelines. Let